I'm Talia Ricci. Tonight, police are investigating after 2 people were gunned down at a Richmond Hill cemetery.
More than 10 times shot. It's very dangerous. All people is running.
1 man was killed and another injured as mourners attended the funeral for a man shot and killed earlier this week. Plus,
2 subcontractors were mobilizing equipment and moving equipment to get ready for future work.
An investigation is underway into the power outage that left thousands in the dark. It's looking into how the incident involving a crane being carried on a barge happened in the first place. And
community residents actually wanted to see equitable green spaces.
A new report finds racialized residents could face barriers to accessing Toronto's green spaces. We head to a community exhibit to learn more. A funeral for a shooting victim turned into a shooting scene at a Richmond Hill cemetery yesterday. People dove for cover during the gunfire that left 1 man dead and another injured. Ali Chiasson has the latest.
Why were you at the cemetery at the time?
My mother buried in here to pray.
This woman was laying flowers at her mother's grave about 100 feet away when the shots started flying.
I thinking maybe it's like firework first time.
She dove under a parked car to shield herself and call the cops.
More than 10 times shot. It's very dangerous. All people is running.
She doesn't want her face shown while talking to us. The brazenness of yesterday's shooting is enough for her to fear for her own life, just speaking up about the horror she witnessed at this cemetery turned crime scene.
My heart is like broken.
This was a targeted incident on the victim.
26-year-old Ayub Hirsi Ali, who police say was the intended target, has died. CBC News has confirmed he was once wanted on a Canada-wide arrest warrant in connection to a 2015 murder outside of a Toronto hotel. He was charged with first-degree murder after a 27-year-old man was shot and killed outside of the Marriott Hotel near Bay and Dundas downtown. Hirsi Ali was attending the burial of Gadid Mohammed, who was shot and killed outside of an Etobicoke nightclub on Tuesday. Police haven't arrested anybody in that case, and this one either. 3 suspects are still at large.
All of them as being male black, wearing hoodies and masks. We believe that there are many witnesses to this tragic incident. We have spoken to some witnesses, but we are appealing to everyone that was there at that time yesterday to please come forward and speak with the members of our homicide unit. And if you choose not to speak with anyone, we are encouraging you to contact Crime Stoppers and leave an anonymous tip.
The other shooting victim, a 27-year-old man, remains in hospital but is expected to survive. Although it's early in the investigation, it is possible he was an innocent bystander. Today, a car was seen being towed away with bullet holes. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Richmond Hill.
We're learning more details about yesterday's massive outage that impacted thousands in the city's core. Officials have confirmed it was caused by a crane on a barge hitting a hydro line in the Portlands. Farah Morali has more on the investigation.
At St. Lawrence Market, the crowds returned after an unwelcome surprise yesterday.
It was a shade before 12:30, and we're doing what we do, fine. And then all of a sudden, boom, everything shut off.
When the power went out, Randall Simon's first thought was how to keep his product cold.
We have a really large ice making machine and bin in my walk-in cooler anyway. So what I did after half an hour was, just as a precautionary measure, we put bags of ice on everything.
The entire market lost power and was forced to close altogether around 12:30.
The biggest impact definitely is loss of sales for all of the 60-plus vendors who are in our South Market building. So that's a big loss for them.
At its peak, an estimated 10,000 customers lost power. Today, more details about just what caused the outage that turned a huge swath of the downtown core dark. The city confirmed today a crane on a barge in the Portlands hit 3 hydro wires. It's working on a new pipe at the Ashbridges Bay wastewater treatment plant and contracted out the work to Southland Estaldi joint venture, which subcontracted out some work.
This is the first incident that we've seen on this project, and it didn't occur at the construction sites. That's the key thing. It occurred off-site while two subcontractors were mobilizing equipment and moving equipment to get ready for future work.
But it wasn't just that impact of the crane on the wires that kept the power out.
That damage actually had a downstream effect on a transmission station in the area.
Hydro One says they were about halfway done rerouting the power when there was a surge.
So we actually had to wait for and work with Toronto Fire to ensure that the site was safe for our employees to access and continue this effort to reroute power to Toronto Hydro.
The Transportation Safety Board is now investigating. The city conducting its own investigation too.
We'll get to the bottom of it, and I think we have to make sure there's accountability for what happened, but I think the most important thing is to determine why it happened and how you can stop these things from happening again.
While the power is back, crews will be on site for several more days, picking up the pieces from the damage. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
A cyclist is critically injured tonight after being hit by a car. Police say emergency crews were called just before 4:30 p.m. to Eglinton Avenue East before the ramp to the DVP. The male cyclist was taken to a trauma center. Police closed the area to traffic for the investigation. A woman has died after being struck by a CP Rail freight train in Mississauga this morning.
Police and emergency services attended the area and located an adult female with obvious signs of trauma. The medical personnel rendered assistance to the adult female. However, she succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced deceased on scene.
Peel police say the woman was struck by the train around 6 a.m. in the area of Dundas Street East and Cawthra Road near Cooksville GO Station. A spokesperson for Metrolink said the circumstances are not yet clear, but the incident did not take place at a rail crossing. Peel Police and CP Rail are investigating. The fatality is the second train-related death in recent weeks in the area. A 4-year-old girl was killed last month after being struck by a GO train. Hundreds of Swansea Mews residents evacuated from their public housing complex in Toronto are still in limbo 2 months later. Many were set up in temporary hotels as the city's housing agent tries to find them long-term accommodations. Philip de Montagny reports.
These are all my stuff that I brought from Swansea.
Sharon Smith has been living out of boxes and suitcases since June with her son and their pets. She was forced to leave her home at Swansea Mews because it was deemed unsafe.
It's over 2 months now.
Back in May, part of a bedroom ceiling collapsed and seriously injured a woman. Toronto Community Housing, which owns and operates the property, had to clear out 114 families. So far, less than half found long-term accommodations.
We won't stop until everyone's in a home, has got what they need, but it takes time.
It's in hotels like this one in Mississauga where residents are now staying, but some say there are no nearby grocery stores or restaurants, and they're much further away from their work and medical appointments.
The only place that we could get something to eat is at McDonald's, and it takes about 25 minutes to walk there.
Smith also takes the bus once a week to see her family doctor near Dufferin and St. Clair.
So it takes me about an hour and a half to get to my appointment, then another hour and a half to get back.
Many evacuees say communication with the housing agency has been difficult. CBC News agreed to grant this tenant confidentiality.
It's just been really frustrating. It's like a fight every day.
She was first offered a new place in Regent Park in a building slated for demolition, and now another, one that's far from her workplace. She still has no idea when she can move in.
I'm very upset. They just don't listen, they don't care.
Built into their new leases, an option for tenants to return to Swansea Mews when it's safe.
I think we can confidently say that it will be a number of years before people can return.
Okay.
As for Sharon Smith, she signed a new lease today, but plans to keep fighting for others who aren't as lucky.
Even though I got a place, I will not give up on my family. My Swansea family.
Philippe de Montigny, CBC News, Mississauga.
Dahlia Ashery joins us now for a first look at the forecast. And Dahlia, I feel like a broken record this week, but another beautiful day in the books.
That's right, Talia. Last weekend there was a heat warning in effect and the humidity was high. This week it's nice seasonal temperatures and warm conditions, but it does get cooler in the evening, which we'll get to in a minute. But just to let you know, mainly sunny, dry conditions, and there is a little bit of dampness as we head into next week. The daytime highs in Toronto, 25 degrees, Windsor 26, London 24, and Ottawa 22. So mainly we're starting to sit in the mid-20s and some areas like Barrie a little lower, but overall very seasonal temperatures. Now what's ahead? What can we expect going into tomorrow? Mostly cloud coverage as we head into the morning. There's no rain really kicking in tomorrow except for around Saturday afternoon around 6:30 or so. You might see a little bit of chance of precipitation here and there, but for the most part it's just cloud coverage, and Monday and Sunday is really when we start to see the rain start to kick in. Now as we head into tonight, it's going to be 12 degrees, cooler temperatures, and tomorrow afternoon, 27 degrees, and it will feel like 29. Talia?
Thanks, Dahlia. A new report found that Toronto's green spaces create structural and systemic barriers for racialized residents. The report, led by York University, offers several recommendations towards making the city's public parks more welcoming. Meg Roberts has the details.
That's Meenakshi Das admiring the photo she took of a green space near her Jane and Finch home. She's one of 18 community members who took part in a new report about racialized residents and green spaces. They were asked to take pictures to view safety, health, and inclusivity through their own personal lens.
I have seen a lot of other communities. They have a lot more opportunities, lot more access than the Jane and Finch community.
The communities explored in the report were Jane and Finch and St. Jamestown. St. Jamestown having the least amount of green space per capita in the country. Authors of the report analyzed the community photographers' experiences. They said it came down to two things: a lack of quantity and quality.
So when they get to those green spaces, what's it like for them? How do they feel in those spaces? Are the amenities that are there responsive to their needs? And by and large, we heard a big fat no.
Issues like safety due to a lack of lighting were reported, not having proper amenities or amenities that were not suitable for a particular neighborhood, and green spaces not being maintained.
And we really saw some pretty inequitable access. So a lot of our racialized residents and community members felt like they didn't get a fair shake, and their experiences in parks were not the same as wealthy residents of Toronto.
They've listed a number of recommendations in the report, like directing resources equitably and ensuring accountability by evaluating and tracking green space changes.
And I think all of those questions really play into the fact that we're having a mental health crisis in the country right now. Things are really inequitable and we're calling for change.
Although the report was just released tonight, authors hope city officials and other stakeholders will be available for follow-up in the future.
Canada's Public Health Agency gave an update today on monkeypox, and Ontario has surpassed Quebec in the number of cases.
A total of 1,059 confirmed cases of monkeypox have been reported nationally, including 511 cases in Ontario.
Tam says it's too soon to say cases are plateauing, but there are signs that the outbreak is slowing down. More than 50,000 Canadians have now been vaccinated. Mental health therapy in Ontario just became more difficult to access as the government has now reduced funding for free online treatment. The province touted the program at the beginning of the pandemic when it funded 2 online resources offering free therapy. Angelina King has more.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, family doctor Jenny Clement has been suggesting Mind Beacon to several patients a week. Thanks to government funding, the online platform offered a free 12-week therapy program that allowed people to sign up without a referral.
It allows access to a whole variety of patients that wouldn't have previously been able to access counseling.
But as of today, that model is ending. According to public documents, the Ontario government is cutting funding to the program by 85%. Mind Beacon was given $24 million to provide free therapy for 2 years, but that funding is being cut to $3.75 million. That means Mind Beacon is expecting to help 85% fewer people, 9,000 in the next 2 years compared to the 60,000 during the initial program.
It's really disappointing.
Clement says mental health support is especially important at this stage of the pandemic.
Now what we're seeing are the long-term effects. The needs are shifting, but they're increasing, if anything.
The CEO of the company that owns Mind Beacon says more than half of those who use the program had never received mental health counseling before, and clients reported positive results.
We're seeing over 48% of the people, especially in the anxiety, recovering and getting the help that they require.
Karen Adams says one of the most effective parts of online therapy is people don't have to wait.
So when I'm ready to get that help with mental health, I can get it.
But now, in order to get the service for free, people will need a referral from a specialized healthcare organization like the Canadian Mental Health Association, or a referral from their family doctor to that organization.
Another step to getting referred to mental health resources is going to be a barrier.
Under the new program, if a person signs up without a referral, the cost is $525, which is covered by most health insurance providers. But Mind Beacon says more than half of the people who use the free program didn't have benefits.
It's going to be the same as it always is. The people that are okay and have the resources will be okay, and the people that don't have the resources will not be okay.
The provincial government didn't provide a comment by our deadline. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
The Premier faced questions today about plans for the privatization of healthcare. Doug Ford telling reporters he's a strong believer in public healthcare, but he says the government is going to get creative on how it's delivered. As Lorenda Redekop explains, the Premier's remarks created quite the buzz.
Make no mistake about it, everyone's going to be paying with their OHIP card, not their credit card.
Premier Ford had already said user fees won't be coming to Ontario healthcare when he had an unusual interruption.
It's coming from the health sector. Holy Christ.
You can see that something, he said it was a bee, flew into his mouth.
I'm okay, he's buzzing in there. Man, he went right down the hatch.
He then cracked a joke.
I'll be rushing to the hospital to get this bee out of here.
Over the past months, some hospitals and ERs have closed temporarily for hours or days due to staff shortages. And this week, the health minister opened the door to some form of privatization.
So just to be clear, there's not more privatization coming.
I'm saying that all options are on the table.
I'm such a strong believer in public health care in this province. But can we deliver it in different fashion? Yeah, absolutely.
He pointed to the Shouldice Clinic, the province's only private hospital. It only does hernia procedures.
My level of anxiety goes up every day.
After the announcement, the NDP put out a release saying the private model of that hospital, grandfathered in from before Medicare, was banned because of the cost.
There is a lot of money to be made off of sick people who need care. And we've always known that. That's why Tommy Douglas brought us Medicare.
The Premier did also mention a Toronto eye clinic, that one not for profit, specialized in cataracts procedures. The NDP's Jelena says she'd be fine with that model. The Premier was also asked about one part of private healthcare that's been in place for years, agency nurses working in hospitals part-time through a private company. The Nurses Union says they're sometimes charging hospitals 4 times the regular nursing wage.
Can I dictate to any private company you should be paying this to your employees and paying that? I just can't.
But the Premier promises his government will get creative and listen to experts to fix the problems in healthcare. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Dundalk, Ontario.
And the question is for me, Colin.
There's a live look at the city skyline this evening. Clear skies tonight after a beautiful sunny day. The temperature sitting around 18 degrees. Dahlia's back now with our extended forecast, and I know this wonderful weather streak can't last forever.
Well, Talia, that's right. I mean, we are going to expect cooler temperatures as the days go on, but overall, a lovely weekend. Nice time to head outdoors and enjoy the beautiful sunshine that's expected, those dry conditions, because as we head into Sunday night and Monday, things are about to change. It won't be like last week with the humidity. It will be hot, but just about right seasonal temperatures that we should be experiencing this time of year. The daytime highs in Toronto, 25 degrees, Windsor 26. So we're sitting overall in the area, mostly in the mid-20s, and in some areas like Barrie or Ottawa in lower 20s. But at the same time, that these are seasonal temperatures that we should be expecting this time of year. Now, what's ahead? For Saturday, mostly cloud coverage, especially in the morning and as we go out throughout most of the afternoon, but the sunshine will still be peeking through. It's more so Sunday that we start to experience some scattered showers as we head into the evening, going into Monday. That's really when you start to see that, especially Sunday afternoon. And then as you can see here, there's that cloud coverage and the precipitation in southwestern Ontario that starts to make its way into the GTA on Sunday evening. And like I said, as we head into Monday, that's when we start to see a little bit of scattered showers, but that will be experienced Sunday evening and overnight. Overnight tonight, what can we expect? 12 degrees, a cool summer night. Maybe make a bonfire, stay warm as we head into tomorrow afternoon. 27 degrees. It'll feel like 29, just a little bit of humidity, but again, seasonal temperatures, that is what we're expecting, not mugginess like we were experiencing last week. Now, what's expected over the next 5 days? Saturday, 27 degrees, a low 14. There is a trend here. It starts to increase a little bit, but still sitting in the cooler range overnight. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, mostly dry condition, except Tuesday there is a high chance, 40% chance of scattered showers. Same thing on Wednesday. So keep your sunglasses around, prepare your umbrellas as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. Talia?
What's described as North America's largest South Asian film festival is underway tonight.
I think when people think of South Asian movies, they typically focus on Bollywood itself, but every state really in India or all over South Asia, there's different languages, different cinema, and it's, we need to bring all of that to the forefront.
The International Film Festival of South Asia Toronto brings together the best of Bollywood and South Asian music. It will feature 120 films in 22 languages. CBC Toronto is a proud sponsor of the event. The festival runs until next Sunday and is taking place at various venues across the GTA. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching and have a great weekend. Good night.